But yeah, cool. Thank you. Yeah, I think it might be just a good place to start offline, and we can discuss it further then and try to work through that. All right, cool. Moving on, it is now Carmen. Report, nope, are we done? Nope. Oh, good, okay, the good stuff. Action. Reports of city officials and staff and reports of committees. Public Works updates. Carmen.
Yeah, I just went ahead and put myself on the agenda directly so we wouldn't forget. Not a whole lot of changes from last time, but things are still progressing, so I'll try to run through this quickly. Organized project updates based on type of project again, so our shared use paths, the Florida Avenue shared use path, still at 90% complete for the plans, still cleared the SHPO review, and the work is still planned for 2026, although we may move the construction back to align with the Florida Avenue roadway project. Baker's Lane shared use path, that's under construction. Right now, it's shut down for the winter, though, and will resume after the winter. All work is to be completed by mid-August. That mid-block crossing on Main Street was partially built.
It's also in Kathy's mailbag.
I haven't seen
If
that.
any of you read the News Gazette, that someone asked a question about that mid-block crossing.
Oh.
And
Oh,
so, yeah.
John probably responded to that one then.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Perkins Road shared use path, this will be the last update on that because the construction is completed, 100% completed. Roadway projects, Country Club Road and Perkins Road project. This is a widening of the south side sidewalk to a shared use path per the bicycle and pedestrian master plans, and adding a new sidewalk on the north side between Willow Road and Cunningham. That project went out to bid in October. It's A&R that is doing the work. Construction is still expected to be completed in 2026. Lincoln Avenue corridor study, no updates since last time. We're still kind of on hold until we can get some funding for that one. Lincoln Avenue, the North Lincoln Avenue from Washer to Killarney, the SS4A grant funding, that I think for the demonstration project, the council, I believe they approved the agreement with FHWA and IDOT for that last night. There's been, discussion about federal grant language, but no issues with this one. This project is still in the public outreach phases, and the concept plan is still underway. Demonstration is expected to be completed in summer of 2026. What else? Oh, and then the full construction expected in FY28. Springfield Avenue resurfacing project, I'm going to give you an update on that during the new business section of this meeting. Florida Avenue from Wright to Hillcrest. John is tentatively going to give a presentation to BPAC on this project in January. The intersection design details are still under review by IDOT, specifically Race and Vine Street intersections with Florida. And then after that review is done, he'll present the design to this group. Illinois and Vine Street, the first phase, phase one, is nearly complete. So this includes Illinois from Race to Vine and Vine from Illinois to Maine. I've noted previously that the design is likely to include lane reductions on both Vine and Illinois, turn lane changes at the intersections, and crosswalk improvements, but it's also adding bike lanes on Illinois Street. So that's a new update. I don't have any more details than that.
Wow, thank you. That's amazing.
I know you'd be excited about that one. Traffic signal improvements. This is the audio device updates. These plans are moving towards the final bid documents, and we're expecting to put that out for bid in January 2026. Sidewalk improvements. There were sidewalk improvements that were constructed over the summer and the fall. That's work is substantially completed, expecting to get the final payments out any day now. TIF 4 sidewalk improvements, those are repairs to existing sidewalk on the west side of Cunningham from Kerr to Country Club Road. The bids were open in October, that went to Foyt's, and the construction is to be completed in 2026. Another update on sidewalks that is new this month, but I could have told you last month, I just forgot. We're currently working on developing a plan for the maintenance of the streetscape bricks in downtown. So that's the brick sidewalk. It's not really the sidewalk, it's between the sidewalk and the street. So we're updating a maintenance plan for those right now.
Can you tell me what happened there? Are they,
Lack of maintenance.
okay, but basically they put in bricks instead of, because it looked,
Yeah, it was a streetscape plan developed, I don't know how many years ago, I think in the 80s. And these were put in and maybe put in without putting a maintenance plan in place. So I think we've deferred maintenance on those for quite a while, and some are not in great shape. So we are revisiting that so we can repair those.
and will they be, you probably do not know the answer to this, but will they just replace them with bricks, or will they maybe do something smoother?
I believe the plan is replaced with bricks, but that is still in development. So I will let you know as that progresses. Equity and quality of life projects, the streetscapes from FY22, or sorry, street lights from FY22, the construction is complete. This is the one where we are still waiting on the designer to reach out to a vendor about reducing the glare on some of those lights. So I need to follow up with John about that one. FY25 program for EQL, Equity and Quality of Life. These are the sidewalks, ramps, streetlights, and some traffic calming devices on Broadway, Kerr, and Cottage Grove. Design is still underway and expecting to put that out for bid for construction in early 2026. Grants. We have a grants consultant working for this city, and they are finalizing a grant strategy document for us right now. I shared with Annie via email that I've shared information on a Road to Zero traffic safety grant, and they provided some feedback to me on that one, thinking that might be probably better for the university to pursue, but there may be opportunities if we could coordinate on that. I don't know. So that's all I've got on that. That's a new one. But and that is all I have.
Yeah, because I wonder
for
about
city
that
update.
street in front of the Granger Library.
Springfield. That's the Springfield Avenue resurfacing project, which I will
We'll
be
talk about
talking
later.
about
Yep, got it.
later tonight.
All right, questions, thoughts before we move on to e-bikes, bike share working group? E-bikes, bike share working group, what do you got?
Okay. Carmen's been wearing so many hats for this committee over the last few weeks because of a staff shortage. She's also been our liaison de facto here. And right now we're waiting for a officially appointed city staff member to join us as a liaison. The basic need is for our suggestions, when they get coalesced, to be vetted for plausibility and legal viability as somebody moves to a contract refreshment or renewal. What we have right now, again, thanks to Carmen, is a packet, a folder with the extant documents that we can work with. There's a couple of omissions there or absences that I wish we could fill. I don't think we have the Champaign contract in there. Do we? We do, okay. The university contract is,
It's a policy
okay,
rather than a contract.
okay. But, you know, the details of who's paying what and what provisions the more of that we can find out from other entities, from Champaign and the university, the better. In the meantime, I put out circulated some initial suggestions and impressions from those documents, and I'm hoping the other members of the group can get to settle down when things cool off for them over the next few weeks, and build on those so we can coalesce something to work with, and then in January move ahead with working with a city staff member. We're going into a hibernation period. Apparently, VO pulls a lot of bikes off during this for repair or protection. For obvious reasons, usage drops off. And so it looks like we have some time, which I hope we don't waste, to come together and have some kind of a good plan sooner rather than later before things really thaw out and get going again. Key issues, to take it a little farther, what do we want to charge, on a per bike or general blanket fee from VO? And what can we do on the real flashpoint, which has gotten flashier just in the last few days, having to do with the abandoned bikes and wheelchair ramps, sidewalks, private lawns, driveways, things like that. The impression we've got is that the GPS capabilities of VO are such now that they know when a bike is out of position. The current language is written, as I understand it, that they do something if somebody actually actively complains, dials the number or puts it in, and then maybe or maybe not in the next few hours, somebody comes out and looks into it. If there was some way of heading that off, and we've talked about this before, by putting an additional fee or keeping the meter running on a bike when it's parked in the wrong place, that could go too far to solve a lot of those problems. That's an issue. And the other thing is where you want to control bike usage by interdicting the motor operations of the bike if it jumps onto certain sidewalks or goes into certain areas, parks or places like that where you really don't want people running around on electric power. So, so to sum it up, there's a couple of pages of skeleton suggestions that we're going to be looking at and building on. Along with that, if it's okay, if it's legit, I'll check with Carmen. She could tell me right now, we could circulate that packet to everybody, the folder of documents that we've got. I'd be happy to bounce that to BPAC for review, or are there some
That's
hazards
probably
to it?
fine. I think we need to be careful about discussions that happen outside of the public meetings. So that can include emails. So unless you're just sending a one-way communication without any expectation for discussion amongst more than 3 members, you have to do that here.
And
Okay, I
as
could
long
then-
as every document can be public, be part of the public record. That's your other.
Okay, so I could forward that document with the caveats that Carmen's suggesting, right? So we know that when we receive them, what that can trigger is one-way communications rather than discussion. And discussion has to be tabled until we all get together in meetings. Is that right?
I think so. I would want to check with our clerk to make sure I'm not in violation
Okay,
before
I'll
we
hold off
start
on
sending.
doing that until I hear from you, or if you feel like it, you could do it so.
Yeah. Okay.
Is that what we've got?
Sarthak, did you have something you wanted to say?
Not really, I was just going to talk about the winterization, they are going to remove, VO is removing the bicycles. It's unfortunate that the snowstorm came when it did, because VOs were still being used a lot during those times, and now they're buried in snow and ice. So yes, if you do send them an email, it's literally just hello@voride.com. They will send out somebody to remove that bicycle if it's in violation, if it is blocking a sidewalk or a curb cut or a crosswalk or anything such as that. That is true for the university, for City of Urbana. Again, we do want to get the contract in place as soon as possible, because right now there isn't one. And if there is a contract, then they're more responsible to fill.
And I mentioned to somebody who's, a person who's part of the ACLU group, and I just said, you need to understand it's a group of volunteers that have put this stuff together at this point. The city right now does not have the capacity to, it's just, we don't have the staff for it right now, and that's just a reality we have to accept. I'm very interested, though, in having parking spots for those bikes and parking spots for bikes, because as you well know, we do not have enough bike parking on campus. We do not have enough bike parking in our neighborhoods. I mean, I see bikes all over the place, and as most people know, you can call it the Hell Strip, you can call it whatever you want, but the city owns not only your sidewalk, but they also own the area with the big, gorgeous, tall trees on it, which is sometimes known as the boulevard or the Hell Strip right in front of your house. And I keep wondering, and that's why we can put, I was gonna point to Shoshi, that's why we can put bus stops in, in front of people's houses and other things. So I would love if we could find corners or places where, or even parking spots where these bikes could be parked. And I see no reason not to do it. I would love to work with VO. I would love to work with the city. I would love to find how we could put these parking spots out there. I don't know what that looks like, what that feels like, but I think the biggest issues people are having is the randomness of the bikes appearing. And also personally, I would love, as a person who would want to use one of these bikes, to know that I could find one in these different spots. So that's my 2 cents on that matter. And since the beginning of this, I've been saying, I would like if we had parking spots for these bikes. And we keep getting pushback on, we don't want parking spots for the bikes. I really think it would be helpful for everyone. And I don't know if VO has tried this in other cities but it just seems to me like common sense. Like we have to park our bikes in parking, in racks. And so it just seems like common sense to me, but.
Yeah, so like on campus, like we are actually implementing that. Like we are going to have several off-rack locations for these VO bikes. There will be like literally green paint on the pavement where these can be dropped off and or users can end their rides there. For the city, like we did talk about some of this, like during the working group meetings, like parks or schools or other public places where we can create hubs. It's just, we still have to get permission. We still have to get,
Yeah.
there is, yeah.
I think we could use Champaign as a model, which has specific locations downtown
Down area, yeah.
Designated for bike parking, and when VO comes through and moves bikes, they're supposed to put them in those specific locations. I think that is something that could work for Urbana. I don't think we're ever going to get entirely away from bikes in the tree space or hell strip or whatever we want to call it, utility corridor or whatever you want to call it. Because, I mean, first, it's very difficult to do. I don't know if it's that difficult.
It's
but I
okay
think
to
could be
park it
very
in the hell strip,
limiting.
is the thing, is people are parking it on the sidewalk instead of parking it in this gross turf grass. I'm a native plant bully, so, instead of parking it you can just park it on the turf grass, but people feel uncomfortable doing that. But the reality is, parking it on the sidewalks are so skinny, they're not 8 foot in a lot of spaces, which is again why people are having trouble with it. So to me, if there were like designated spaces in our neighborhoods where people could park the bikes, it just seems like common sense.
I know that's been an issue for MTD. Like, drivers have almost hit the bikes before. I experienced it once going home one day. The driver almost hit one because it was on the road, and she had to go around it.
You're allowed to park them in the road. They're vehicles, so they are,
So I know it's been something MTD's been struggling with, so maybe that should be something they should also try to figure out. Like, I know there's been safety concerns for buses running them over and all of that.
To make these improvements incrementally, I'm guessing that VO knows where the hot spots are, the cluster spots are, where bikes are typically picked up and dropped off. In an interaction with them, as the contract gets negotiated.
It would
we can
just save
try
them
two
so
or
much
three-
money
Let me finish,
to
two or
just,
three
you know?
locales and see how that works. And then if it does, when we expand from there.
Yes, I think this is great, but I'm hesitant to limit the parking to those zones only. Yeah, so I think that if you can't limit people from parking in the tree space or, other public areas outside of the sidewalks and the ramps, like, they are still going to be scattered. Like, there's not ever going to be a scenario where they're just.
But I think it would decrease a lot if people just had a sense of, oh, this is where they belong.
Yeah.
Sure.
Because
I
you would know
think-
where to find them, you'd
Yes.
know where to pick them
Right.
up.
I think it would make it better.
Yes.
And I do think
But
you
no, we
could
don't wanna
like get
say
a
just
50-cent
here. That's
discount
crazy
for
making.
putting them there or something. I have no idea. It seems to me that you should be rewarded for putting them in these
That's-
shared spaces.
Yeah, that's something that we can talk to VO about, because again, like with the pricing, with the incentives, that's not something that we can dictate. But yes, like,
I mean, it's a pretty ridiculous system. You see like a truck roving around trying to find these bikes instead of them just being like, knowing they're in 12 spots here. We're not that big of a city, like,
that's, the original point of, like, the reason why we don't have the designated spots only is also because we didn't want to put infrastructure down, right? So, what Carmen is saying, like,
You
that's,
want to be able to
Yeah, like-
access your bike. Like, my husband uses them. He wants to park it right in front of our house.
but we do also understand, and that's why, like, that's what the university, like, we are trying to do as well. Like, students are still allowed to leave their bicycles at the end of their ride on a bike rack, but there are going to be certain locations outside of the bike rack areas where they can drop these off as well. So again, like, that's also because we have seen the usage in those areas. So the conversation with VO could be, like, that would be beneficial. It's just, again, like, our first step should still just be to get the contract in first and then try and figure out.
Yeah, we should,
then add more stuff to
we got
it
great
as
ideas,
needed.
but, yeah.
But we should not get bogged down in the description part. Like, no, you have to be 100 feet away from the courthouse only, and that's the only place where you can park. No, like, let's just get the contract down and then add more stuff as we go along. Because it's been far too long that the city doesn't, like, for them not to have a contract.
To get the contract done, though, would it be legitimate for city officials, when we get to the point that they have our suggestions, to sit down with the university in a three-way conversation with VO and work it out together, so we don't have to.
But it should be that way, not, we can talk about it to death here, so
Yeah.
we should be moving on.
We're moving on. You know what we're moving on to, everyone? New business. There is a very exciting update on Springfield Avenue resurfacing project. Carmen?
Carmen, are you trying to put in the HDMI?
Yes.
Really, I'm just going to show you the plans. Okay, so Springfield Avenue, this is primarily a resurfacing project. This was part of a larger project from Wright Street down to McCullough, but we split it into two different projects because the eastern portion from Lincoln, or Busey to McCullough, became more costly and challenging than anticipated because of the bridge at Phillips Rec Center. So that was constructed this past summer, and that's completed. Now this is the western portion from Wright Street to Gregory. So the driver for this project is primarily the poor roadway condition. It wasn't a safety project focused on crashes or traffic issues. It's really the poor condition of the roadway surface. Yes, there's potholes. So I don't know if you can see here, but this is Wright Street here. This is Gregory. The reconstruction and the resurfacing, I will show you the plans for this, but it's really just the western portion, and then there's a few ramp and sidewalk improvements that I'll show you as well. So this is not a final plan set. This is still a draft version, so we are finalizing this with our consultant, Fairgram, right now. What else did I want to tell you? Oh, we're targeting the construction for this summer during U of I's break. Even though the road condition was the main driver, you know, we also looked at this entire streetscape conditions, like the street lights, the traffic signals, sidewalks, ramps, the curb conditions, and the trees. So let me just show you. This is the removals plan. So up here, where my cursor is, this is Wright Street. So there's going to be full depth roadway construction from Wright Street down to the crossing at Granger Library. And we'll be removing these pavers here as well. The rest of it from the edge of this full depth reconstruction down to past Matthews, down to past Goodwin will be resurfacing. So that's not a full depth, that's just milling off the top surface and putting down new asphalt, unless the condition warrants additional full depth reconstruction, and we call those just pavement patches. So let's see, oh, there's another improvement here, that's the sidewalk ramp. There's just some additional pavers that need to be removed so we can extend the detectable warnings here for the ramp at Matthews. Moving east, you know, this is past Goodwin. We're going to replace the existing traffic signal loops. We're going to fix the driveway here, east of Goodwin. And then just west of Gregory, we're going to be removing the brick sidewalk here. It's adjacent to U of I, so they've agreed that we can remove these brick pavers and we'll be replacing it with a concrete sidewalk. So now this is the plans just showing what is being replaced here. So the pavers that are across from, or adjacent to Kenny Gymnasium, between Wright and the pedestrian crossing at Granger, these pavers are going to be replaced with concrete here. Because of the slope and the narrow width, it doesn't warrant grass or new pavers. We determined with U of I's coordination that concrete was the appropriate thing to place here. What else? Okay. So I have a few things to go over regarding the crossing. I know that's the primary focus here. I just wanted to make sure I gave you guys the update on all the things changing for the plans. Oh, we're also improving the sidewalk here that's in poor condition east of Matthews Avenue. So between Matthews and Goodwin on the north side, the sidewalk will be removed and replaced with new concrete.
There's no bike facilities in any of these spaces, right?
Correct. There is no bike path. Okay, so here, this is exciting for BPAC, hopefully. New ramps being put in at Harvey Street. So there is a ramp existing on the northwest corner here, but it doesn't go to any other ramp currently. It kind of leads you to a driveway to a U of I facilities. So we're going to remove this one, shift it to the west, and add a new ramp across from it. And then on the east side, we will add a ramp across from the ramp on the northeast side. So we'll have a new ramp on the southeast corner at Harvey, and two new ramps at the other corners to align better.
Does the city own the street that's in front of Uni? 'Cause that's a hot.
Springfield?
It's Matthews, yeah, it's that corner, because that is a hot
Yes,
mess for
that is-
biking and walking and everything. It's just a hot mess.
Yes, that is in very poor condition.
It's in poor condition, but it's even like, just, I used to work in that building, and it's just a mess, like trying to get out of there somehow, I don't care how you're trying to get out of
The
there. It's like-
driveways or the sidewalk or like what?
It's just that it's a one-way,
design?
it's a one-way for cars, but then the sidewalk, you can't really move, like the sidewalk, it's a logistical nightmare. And then also, there's a lot of pickup happening there, so if you try to ride your bike contraflow, it's really bad. So it's a real mess. It just needs some thought.
Well, we do not have any plans to redesign Matthews, but there is the potential to do resurfacing on some of those side streets if we get a good cost for construction from our bids when this goes out. So it didn't get into the plan sets, but there is an opportunity there to extend the resurfacing if, we have the money for it.
Sorry, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Matthews Avenue is special.
Yeah, it's just,
But again, like
it's confusing.
Needs. It's a huge project. Whenever it happens, like it's going to be a huge project, and it's
like you can just see, like when you try to move down it, and you just are like, wow, well, this was just done in patches here and
It is a
there.
very difficult area in general for all three modes, like for pedestrian, bicycles, and cars. But it's very hard to, because it's going to cost a lot of money. Like, and again, like it is a city street, but then sometimes the sidewalks are ours, and the bike paths are the universities, but then they shift, and then it's the city. So there is it's very confusing.
Yeah, but it's just if it ever, you put that nice cutaway in there, which was great. That was a game changer to add that cutaway. But it's definitely, yeah, I agree with you. It's just not a good experience for anyone. But the good news is, because it's such a bad experience for cars, it's fairly safe.
It's so bad, people pay attention.
Yes.
Or they go somewhere else. I mean, that's,
Unless you want to cross Matthews from Green Street. Well, on Green Street, it's fine, but especially like whenever there is like ADA, if you're evaluating for ADA compliance, it's a nightmare. But again, it's, yeah.
Okay, back to Springfield Avenue, now focused on the crossing at Granger Library. So I reached out to RPC about if they could provide some crash data for this segment and these intersections. So this is the quick summary at the bottom of this segment from Wright to Matthews. This is all the crash data they have from 2015 to 2024.
That seems really high, right?
No, actually, this is actually really good news. That first, there's no fatal crashes. There's not even any type A injury crashes occurring in the segment here. And then I have on a later slide, these are all car crashes in the segment, and no pedestrian or cyclist crashes recorded in this time period from that crossing. So this is the crash trends, and I don't have anything smart to say about this. This is the data I got from RPC for this segment. I think I needed to put it into context for myself about what all this means. So I compared it with Lincoln Avenue, and I'll show you that in the next slide. But first, RPC did also share with me their comments that they received from the active transportation plan survey they had out this fall. They pulled out all the ones that were related to this crossing. So out of 714 surveys received, they had 15 with comments about the area. And there were these first 12 that were negative comments, just saying there were concerns about cars not stopping, people going too fast through here, or afraid that, you know, when you push the button, it says cars might not stop, so there's the potential for a crash.
Is there like a sun problem there where the sun hits and you're just blinded by the sun if you're in a car?
Maybe? I don't know. I've. I didn't see that in the comments, but I'm not sure. Did have some positive comments too, and I'll say from my experience with the outreach on the Lincoln Avenue corridor, when we were proposing the rapid flashing beacons, the rectangular rapid flashing beacons, or RRFBs, for crossings on Lincoln, we got a lot of positive feedback on these. And we used this as the reference point. We said this will be like the one on Springfield at Granger, and really heard very few, if any, negative comments on that. It was a lot of excitement for this, saying, yeah, we like that crossing. So while, you know, there are a lot more negative comments here that came in about this crossing than there are positive, I think that the crash data is really telling. And I will, sorry, this is not very pretty. I just threw some of these things on here, and I can open up the Excel tables if anyone's interested. But I think the top table here is this segment on Springfield, and these are the types of crashes, and these are just the segment. It's taking out the intersection, so we're not considering what's happening at Wright and Matthews. There were some crashes. There was one pedestrian crash at Matthews, I believe, and one cyclist crash at Wright, or it might be the other way around. Sorry.
I know on a bike. It's
Oh,
just
okay.
the parking situation on Springfield and biking on, but that's all we were just talking about, that
Yeah,
whole mess.
I didn't
avoid-
have the capacity to do more than just focus on this one crossing. So for this segment, I think it's really telling that there were no pedestrian or cyclist crashes over 10 years, at least none that were reported that RPC could share with me. They were all.
And has that infrastructure been in for 10 years?
It's been in longer than 10 years. I'm
All
not
right.
sure when it was put in place. But yes, I think it was here for this entire time. I wanted to put that into perspective for myself, so I was comparing with a few of the segments on Lincoln Avenue. So the top one here is Springfield. This is our segment. The annual average daily traffic loading is the ADT, so it's over 9,000 for that stretch. I just did a rough measurement of the length and then the number of crashes over those 10 years that was provided by RPC. Compare that with our 3 worst segments on Lincoln Avenue. Yeah, there is higher average traffic on each of these segments, but they are also much shorter segments too. And, you know, all of these had a higher number of total crashes. Then I wanted to see, well, what kind of crashes are we looking at? So I pulled up, you know, the data that RPC has online for Lincoln Avenue, and the 3 segments I just pointed out are at the bottom here, where we do have cyclist and, oh, sorry, I'm just trying to highlight something and that didn't work, but y'all can still see it now. There are pedestrian and cyclist crashes in both of those segments, and, you know, significantly more front to rear crashes in 2 of these segments. So, yeah, I don't have any more intelligent things to say about this other than I thought it was really key to point out that we haven't tracked any pedestrian or cyclist crashes in at least 10 years. I know there was one cyclist that was hurt recently, so that didn't factor into this because this only went to 2024. But I will, you know, we will still take into consideration all these comments. These are still important. I'm not going to disregard the comments that come in from these surveys just because we don't see the crash data. But for now, we think that the plans right now to keep the RFB as it is, are still maintaining a pretty safe means to cross the street.
So putting in like a traffic table maybe is not a possibility. A
Not
table,
for
a
this-
traffic table is just, it's raised up to the height of the sidewalk. Instead of the pedestrian steps down, it's just at the height of the sidewalk, so cars would have to go over it.
Not for this resurfacing project. If we do see crashes happening at this area that warrants a traffic study like we did for Lincoln Avenue, then, we will revisit it and we could put something in. But right now, we do have to balance with other needs across the city. If there's other areas that are showing crashes for pedestrians and cyclists, we're going to focus our efforts and money on those.
And I guess my other question is do we ever want cyclists in this space, or, and I know this is not the project to do that, but bigger picture, like, what's the thought, like, do cyclists use this space? Does anyone have any clue,
They
like,
should be walking their bikes at this crossing, not riding.
So,
On
the
Springfield.
bicyclists are not, because there is no bicycle infrastructure on Springfield on either side of the campus. That's why, like, the bike plan moved the bicyclist up north through the Beckman Quad area, because on the west side, it's connected to White Street in Champaign, which is a bicycle route. On the east, it's Main. So that's the thoroughfare.
Yep. It's true, I use the
Springfield
MCOR, all that
is-
beautiful MCOR stuff, yeah.
So Springfield is technically not for bicyclists. And like, I've been watching the RFP, like, whenever there is a class that I have to go to, like, when I'm not actually teaching, I'm looking outside, seeing how many people actually press the RFP. And most of the students, they do actually press, and then cars stop. So it is working, and it works well. There are some students who don't, who just think that the cars will automatically stop without any, but that's, again, like, it's
Could we put in an automatic when you're like 3 feet away, the lights come on?
Is there such a thing, though? Like, I don't know if there is one, but again, like, as I was saying,
That
like, I
sounds
think,
rife with potential issues.
yeah,
And basically, it sounds like it's a good working
It's
system
working.
right
it
now.
is working. It
So,
is
yeah,
working
let's-
well
let's
right now.
Make it, I mean, I just hope making it nicer doesn't mean that, oh, the road looks great, I think I'll go 90 instead. That's the only.
Plus, that section is so narrow. Like, that's one of the reasons why traffic is so slow over there, because you've got,
Parking on the sides,
Yeah.
yeah.
so,
Any other questions on Springfield Avenue? Great.
oh, and the comments that, I did notice, like, they were talking more about that crash that had happened earlier this year, because it was the ATP survey that had just gone out during that time. So there were more comments about that incident. As it should, like, it should be reported, but again, like, just something to consider.
All right, the next order of business is snow removal issues and responsibilities. Sarah and Carmen. And thank you, Carmen, this is really exciting. I can't wait to see what happens here on Springfield.
Yeah. Okay, so sidewalk snow removal. I thought I'd just do a quick overview of who removes what, who's responsible for things. So again, not very pretty. I didn't have much time to make this a beautiful presentation for you all, but I think it has the basics at least included. So we have our snow ordinance in place. The sidewalk snow removal zone ordinance, I've got a link to it in here. Looks like this. So basically, it states that the property owners in the identified snow removal districts clear the adjacent public sidewalks and ramps. Ramps are included in this because it states that you need to clear the walkway to the nearest crossing that's adjacent to your property. So of snow and ice. Property owners must clear the sidewalk within 24 hours of the declaration by the Public Works Director. After a winter storm, the local media outlets and the city website will include notices that the sidewalk clearance requirements are in effect. So then for more information, I just added the link here that talks about our sidewalk, snow, and ice clearance requirements. So then there's these PDFs here that show each of the areas. And my next slide says what those are. So the snow ordinance districts are 3 areas across Urbana campus, which is surrounded by Wright to Lincoln, then University bounds it on the north to Florida to the south. And I added links here to each of these maps, which I just opened the first one. Then downtown is between Race and Vine, and then from University primarily, but then there's a little bit on Park down to Illinois Street. And then Philo Road is just Philo Road, but from Florida Avenue on the south side of that intersection down to Windsor Avenue. And from Silver to Windsor, it's only on the east side of the street. So let me go.
And just to be clear, each of these were like chosen, and then you go through, we went through city council to get these, and at certain times we've tried to expand them or change them. So that is also a possibility.
Yes, these could change, but this is, I'm just telling you what is currently in place right now. So if you're in any of these zones, you live adjacent, well, if you live in any, you have property in any of these zones, you're required to clear the adjacent sidewalk and ramps to your property. All right.
So if an individual notices something, do they call the property owners?
Getting to that. That's coming up. Okay, so I wanted to share with you guys this as well. This is the city snow removal map. So what does the city do? This is mostly in the downtown area. I've included the map here for all the sidewalks that the city staff is doing themselves. And then if you want more information on street plowing, I've got that there, but I'm really focused on sidewalks here. So in addition to what's on this map here, there's a few other remote locations noted down here that the city plows the sidewalks. Other than the requirement for adjacent property owners and then the city plowed sidewalks, there's a volunteer organization called the Snow Angels that's operated through the Champaign-Urbana Safe Routes to School group, through MTD. It's a volunteer program focused primarily on routes to school, but you can volunteer for any segment across the city. And they have a application form online that you can fill out, volunteer for any place you want to go. I'm not aware of any others, but I wanted to put this out there in case anyone here is aware of any other groups that are doing this. Nothing formal. Paid services, obviously, there's paid plowing groups, but okay. Then, throwing this in, what do you do if you have an impassable sidewalk or ramp from snow? What do I do? If you're in one of those snow ordinance areas, those 3 zones, it's the responsibility of our community development inspector to enforce the ordinance. And if you go on to our frequently asked questions page, the snow removal page that I was just on, it talks about what actually happens there. You know, the property owner can get a warning if there's a violation, it's been 24 hours and they haven't removed the snow. Then after that, they start giving fines. So this is the phone number for our community development inspector that enforces that. In the city maintained zones, the map that I just shared with you, that's Public Works operations crew. So this is the number to our admin front desk to report that, and we could put those issues directly into our asset management page for operations to address. Outside of those areas, I've put myself as the contact because this is still, we're working this out currently. So I've noted here that Public Works me, we are examining the priority locations for clearing ramps and maintaining ADA clearances. And I'm working with the ADA coordinator on a complaint intake website and form for all ADA issues and a process for addressing those complaints. You know, we've been talking about that for just ADA issues themselves. That could be a fault in the sidewalk or some other issue that's unrelated to snow. But I think snow issues could factor into this as well. So I cannot commit to operations staff clearing any ramp or sidewalk that is called in, but I also think it is our responsibility to maintain the right-of-way so that it is passable. So when there are ramps that are completely blocked with snow, I want to know about it. I want to take this information in, so I'm providing my contact here so you can continue sending me those locations, and I think we can, John Zeman and I were talking about this today. Our city engineer, he, started kind of thinking of different ways that we could prioritize this and make our own new map of which ramps and sidewalks need to be maintained to keep a clear route outside of these snow ordinance areas. And that could be prioritized based on maybe the size of the street, because then the crosswalk is larger, or ADT, the volume of traffic on that street could indicate that you'd have a higher pedestrian traffic on that street as well. There's different things that we are exploring right now, but I'll just tell you, it's in progress.
Are you aware that there's just a way to plow the streets so you don't block the corners? It's just a well-known technique that maybe I should just share. Just because it's called the square corner technique. So that might be the other thing to do, would be to just plow the streets. I know it's tough. I know they're big machines, but I think there's ways.
Suggesting additional training for our operations
Oh, the poor
staff.
guys. I know, and gals. I'm sorry. But it would help. I mean, I know people sent me complaints about block corners and falling off their bikes and things like that. So it would save you the hassle of having to kind of try to figure this out if the corners were not blocked by snow. I don't know if it's that complex, but I have it open as a tab. I will send it. It maybe isn't even that complex. Maybe it's just like one of those oh, never thought of that sort of things. I don't operate one of those big machines, and you would not want me to. So,
That's all I have. I will turn this over to Sarah. I think she had.
Sarah, are you able to pull up the picture that I sent you?
Oh, I did not say that. I might be able to.
Well, while she looks for that, I'm the reason that we brought this up because most of the time after it snows, I am trying to get to places without just driving my wheelchair, but sometimes I don't always have that option. So I have encountered in at least 3 different places throughout Urbana where the way that they got plowed, with the streets getting plowed, the curb cuts are no longer accessible. So you can't actually get through the crosswalk. And the major issue with that is once I have to go in the road, there's nowhere else for me to get back on the sidewalk because it's just plowed over everywhere. So it's not just going around that particular crosswalk, I'm now on the road potentially until I get all the way to my house, which isn't, one, the bike lanes aren't meant for that. The bike lanes are also in poor shape, and for me, part of the issues that I have is the way my wheelchair is, but for anybody else that can see, it's also important to shovel your sidewalks because I can't wear snow boots with my leg braces. So I can only wear these shoes. I cannot wear any pants over or under other than these leggings because they just don't fit. These go all the way up here. So if you don't shovel your sidewalks and I'm now going through, my feet are covered in snow and there's nothing I can do about it. And it's just something so simple as just clearing it off, not only for the people that are walking or can walk around it, but something like that, most people don't think about it because they're like, why can't you just wear snow boots? But I'm not able to. So I was wanting to make sure that there was some sort of a method so that we came to these curb cuts that were blocked or something like that, that there was a way to get those cleared. Because obviously I'm not able to clear it myself, but the one that she had a picture of, that I sent Carmen a picture of, is at Florida and Philo. So it's right next to that bus stop in front of Florida House, which is a major crosswalk, and it was completely inaccessible.
Sorry, my laptop doesn't like
Oh.
saving on this, but here's what I can do.
And looking at the height, it's like, okay, you know, we shovel our work several times. Well, it's not perfect. It's not down to bare sidewalk. But, you know, it's not, you know, you're not going to get a bunch of snow in your stuff.
Right, and that's the thing, I mean, personal responsibility goes a long way for people just maintaining their own sidewalks without having to get threats of fines and things like that. But most people don't have that perspective of, because they walk through the snow or they can walk around the places that are blocked. The other issue that I am running across is when people are parking in driveways, they're blocking the sidewalks, like they're parking half in the driveway and half the sidewalk. Well, now with the snow, I can't go around your car. Like, there's just nothing for me to do. I just have to turn around and go back.
Sarah, are there specific corners, specific segments of the Urbana street and sidewalk situation where you're having maximum trouble?
Yeah, I mean, my neighborhood, none
Which
of the
is?
sidewalks and curb cuts in my neighborhood are really accessible.
And your neighborhood's where?
I live on Michigan, right off of Kinch, in
Okay.
southeast Urbana by Brookins. And so, one of the other things, and I think it's in a future topic somewhere, I'm in the process of documenting where the sidewalks and curb cuts are broken, because I have nothing to do but time. Like, I have time to do that. The problem is, the way that I've started to document when I tried it the first time, I just did a little square, didn't even have to cross the street, like in my block, and I only documented tree-related damage, and it took me over an hour because there was so much. So, in the spring, I'm wondering if it's possible for us to either borrow like an old body cam from the police department or have access to a GoPro so that I can map my route and basically mount the body cam or the GoPro so you can physically see what the sidewalk looks like as I'm going, because then when I'm done with that video, I can take it and plot it on a map, and then you'll be able to see exactly where that is, and it won't be too much work for Public Works because I'll have already compiled the data, but it also, using the video will not be so difficult for me to do like in the moment.
So I've been a cyclist long enough that there weren't bike lanes. And this was one of the things that people started doing, is they would take out the GoPro and just be like, this is my commute home.
Yeah, and when I posted on Spotted in Shambana about shoveling the sidewalks, which every time I post on there, somebody has to say something rude. That's just how it goes. I showed a video of what it looks like when I have to go through the snow. So like you can see how my feet get covered. And that's really what I'm trying to do, is just educate the public. Like, what does it look like when you go out in a wheelchair? Because I can't always have the ability to have somebody take me somewhere.
We do have $300.
So we do have $300.
We have $300.
Right.
I was just-
There is also,
Yeah.
there's a program that is becoming more and more popular called Deep Walk.
Yes, Deep Walk, and they're from here. They are University of Illinois. That's what I was wondering. That's what I wanted to connect you with, was Deep Walk, because they're here. They've come in, they've offered to help. They've offered to say, what do you want to do? They're a startup up in Chicago now. They've gone from the research park up to Chicago. Good stuff. Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
not sure how to connect
But-
that all, though.
So I think we thought about using this in the past with our former public works director, wanted to learn more about this. But we do have RPC performing these sidewalk assessments for the city already all across. So I would be curious to see how your assessments line up with what RPC has just put together. And so that's one thing. The other thing I'm thinking about is, in my coordination with our ADA coordinator, we have talked about a potential budget from, that's really dedicated to ADA compliance, and something like this service or a GoPro or something else to help could come out of that budget, potentially. I don't want to commit her to that and her funds, but.
Yes, and with the snow removal as well, it's not just mobility reasons. So for both Nancy and I, with our visual impairments, once it snows, everything is white. So if you don't shovel your sidewalks, it's almost impossible for us to know if we're still on the sidewalk. Am I on the road? Am I in somebody's grass? Like, everything is, it's all bright, it's all the same color, and it's extremely difficult. So that's another reason why shoveling the sidewalks or trying to do that removal would be helpful, even if there's just some sort of like imaginary liability people are thinking about.
One more thing I thought about that we were just talking about today in engineering. This can't happen this season, but it's something that we could possibly put in place for next season, where we have a contractor that's on call for the snow ordinance removal zones already. The budget in place is for that. We could potentially shift some of our funds for Public Works to that contractor so that we make them available to do areas outside of the snow ordinance area too. So when calls come in, if I'm getting flooded with all of these requests for sidewalk and ramps, we have someone in place already that could go do that, and we have money in place already to pay them for it. For now, I can't commit to that, but I also don't want you riding in the street because
Yeah, that,
of snow and the
yeah,
ramps.
that becomes a problem, is like like I said, once I'm on the street, then there's almost nowhere for me to get back on. But there's gotta be some sort of a middle ground. And like you said, I wasn't even aware that there was a technique that you could plow so that that doesn't happen. Is that what you were referring to? Okay, so that would be helpful too.
I mean, I have there's a neighborhood listserv where I live, and it's a pretty well-resourced neighborhood, and it's pretty disappointing to read comments of, our neighborhood does not have a single must-shovel sidewalk in it, and we don't have to shovel, so you just don't have to, so don't bother. And it's like, wow, okay. I mean, I personally take a lot of pride in shoveling my sidewalk. It's just where I grew up. It's how I grew up. It was something that was really important to me. I walked to school. I have 9 brothers and sisters, so we're walking to school. Or wherever, frankly. You're not getting anywhere unless you're walking. So it's like Nancy said. It's disheartening, and I do wish we could find a way to change that narrative.
Yep, that's part of what I'm working on with my overall conversations with the public, is just to change the conversation around disability and accessibility, to normalize those parts of conversations. But you're always going to find people that are going to be hateful for no reason. The last time that I asked somebody on Spotted in Chambana, like, just, hey, be considerate of people on the sidewalk using wheelchairs. One person actually said that this is Trump country and offered me assisted euthanasia, just for asking somebody to be considerate of wheelchair users. So, I mean, we're never gonna change all of the conversations, but you just need to do one at a time, and then those people will start changing conversations, and then there's a ripple effect. But hopefully we can normalize paying attention to those types of things that us, like Nancy and I, we rely on through ADA, but
Yeah, other people
universally,
just aren't
if it's
going to know.
accessible,
Right.
then it'll be good for everyone.
And it's not just, also people, once you hit 65, 70, and you want to walk, exercise is so important, but once it snows or it gets iced over, you just don't leave your house unless somebody comes and picks you up. The fear of falling and breaking something just gets to be too high.
And the entire population of Urbana should be able to use the sidewalks just like anybody else. Whether you're 65, whether you have vision impairments, wheelchair, we all deserve to be able to use the sidewalk, and we all deserve to be able to get to the locations that we need to get to through our methods that we choose. And so I know a lot of people just kind of disregard people with disabilities in terms of the things that they need, because the world isn't built for people like me, but it doesn't have to be that way. It can be universally accessible, and then everybody can access it, and there's not this, this juggling of whose needs are we doing and whose needs are we not gonna meet.
Or, I mean, not to mention, like, one of the things we always say is if you fix it for an 8-year-old, you fixed it for everybody else. So, 20, all right. But thank you for advocating for that, and I'm sorry people I'm sorry people bullied you. It's unnecessary. It's not needed. Yeah, it's not helpful. All right, the last item on the agenda is sidewalk accessibility concerns and goals, and this is mine, and we can always punt this to the next meeting. I just wanted to have I just kind of honestly wanted to have a brainstorming session because, again, I as well see people getting really upset over VO bikes, and I'm like, wow, you don't shovel your walks, yet you're upset over VO bikes. I can't put this together, like, I can't put this together. So we have transportation insecure residents. We have residents who need ADA accessibility. We have vulnerable road users. And it's frustrating for me. I mentioned to one person who was talking to me about it, I said, you know what, have you been at Crystal Lake Park? And have you seen like that new thing that Cara got the grant money to create the connectivity in Crystal Lake Park to go to Carl, to the healthcare facility. And if you're ever just there in the mornings, you just see people in scrubs just like whipping by on VOs, and it's like, I said, working people use these bikes. It is their last mile. It is their first mile and their last mile, and it's just deeply frustrating to me when I hear about it. So that is why I wanted to talk about it, because I know there are, I judge you. I see the leaves that are not cleaned. Like, I see sidewalks that are just piled high with leaves, and then there's snow on top of it, and then there's no ice cleaning. There's cars that are blocking sidewalks. There's brick sidewalks that are we haven't even talked about brick sidewalks and how inaccessible they are unless they're newly repaired. We haven't talked about how there's no sidewalks. We haven't talked about how there's dangerous intersections and there's vehicle speeds that are too much. So my thought was, if we just had like a brainstorming session about this, and again, we could do this next time. It's like a fantasy brainstorming session, but through that we might find some solutions, because we all know, we've heard about cities where people try to get past, like in Chicago, they just tried passing sidewalk clearing, that the city would clear the sidewalks. So there's no reason why we can't just think about these things and talk about these things. It doesn't mean it's gonna happen, but it will get us closer to a more just society. So that was pretty much what I wanted to bring up and what I wanted to talk about. So I'm happy again to punt this to next time where maybe we all have a little more capacity, because I think at this point we're all a little spent, and we can get out of here maybe 5 minutes early if we go right on to announcements. What do you guys say? Do you guys want to talk about this next time? Maybe like mull it? Okay, because that's what I'd just like to mull about. I mean, I would love to just like say like how I was like going on and on about like I would like there to be specific VO parking spots, right? Let's just kind of mull some ideas. It doesn't mean it's all going to happen. It doesn't mean any of it's going to happen. But I think if we can all just use our pooled share of knowledge and just sort of think about things that might work, because we do need to move the needle in our community on keeping the sidewalks clear. We just need to. We need to move the needle on it. So, all right, I'm getting off my rant. So announcements. Does anyone have any announcements?
I have something that's off topic from snow and sidewalks, and so the park district was just awarded EV charging grant. So we'll have charging stations at Crystal Lake Aquatic Center, Phillips Recreation Center, and also the Health and Wellness Center. There'll be 2 at each location. I think there'll be level 2 chargers, so you can charge your car from like, I think 4 to 5 hours from 0 to full. But this won't be implemented till probably around springtime. So we're talking to the grant agency, Heartland, and also Ameren the past 2 days. So we're figuring out the logistics and designs and everything.
I can talk about bike lights, bike walking, pet lights. I have found that people have bags of these lights, and I have been given the bags of the lights, and I went out and purchased new batteries for them, and I have been replacing the batteries in them, and we've been handing them out at community events, and I will be handing them out on Saturday there will be lights in downtown Urbana on Main Street. It's the Urbana Arts, I think it's sponsored by, the Urbana Arts Commission.
Urbana Arts and Culture.
Yeah, I can never remember. I never remember their name. I'm always like Urbana. But anyway, there's going to be, Jake Metz does just this gorgeous light show on Main Street, and it's on the buildings, and there will also be hot cocoa at Gallery Art Bar. And then if you find your way into Gallery Art Bar, I will be sitting there, and any of you can join me. I'll be handing out lights. But we've given out quite a few, and it's pretty exciting. So I don't have as many left as I had before, but I am finding that people do have bags of lights. So if anyone else can find bags of old lights, please give them to me. I have plenty of batteries. Me and I have someone who's helped me. We're quickly learning how to just flip out the old batteries, put in the new ones, and move on. So I'm pretty excited about that. And it was very fun to hand out the lights. It was pretty heavy Latino community, and they were pretty excited to get them. So that was cool. What else? I think that's my big announcement.
I'm pretty sure also Urbana Jazz Band is going to be at Main Scoop. Jazz combo, but yeah.
There may be lights there, but not me.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So I just wanted to add, I already talked about it, but VO is in the process of winterizing their bicycles. So over the next week or so, you will be seeing VO bikes leaving the streets and sidewalks of campus and community for 3 months, and they'll be back in March, sometime in March, weather dependent. So yeah, other than that, the university actually, like, we've been working on a project for Pennsylvania Avenue, from Lincoln Avenue to city limit on like campus side, of course. It's a reconstruction of Pennsylvania. So currently, that project is in design. Hopefully, we'll get the design finalized by next semester, and hopefully it will go out on bid next semester. So we're hoping for construction next year, but let's see.
What's on Pennsylvania? I can't picture it.
From Lincoln, so city limits to Lincoln. So from natural resources, building, garage, close to like the cemetery area.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow.
From all the way to Lincoln.
That's
Yeah.
amazing, because there's a sidewalk that ends there. There's a terrible crosswalk that is very confusing and bad. Oh, amazing. Oh, that's really exciting news.
That one
Okay, I
is
got
in-
you now. Pennsylvania,
yes.
it's right by my,
Yes.
I feel stupid. Yeah, I know exactly where that is.
That one is in design right now. Yeah.
Improvising there for years. Let me throw in one plug. I worked at a lot of northern tier snowbelt universities, and I've been in contact, as many of you are, with these peer schools. I don't know of any school of our size that has a better reputation for conscientiously clearing bikeways and pedestrian sidewalks for ADA, bicycle, and pedestrian usage than the University of Illinois. We have had our act together for decades. It's a different we from the we I'm bringing here, but it's just true. So.
Wait, can I go back to this Pennsylvania thing? So when RPC was doing the Lincoln Avenue corridor study stuff, I asked if they could fix that intersection from Lincoln Avenue at Pennsylvania, because they said that is a hot mess. And it sounds like, and I thought that was city, because also that road is a mess. I mean, because that's where the buses are. There's not like bus pads for it, so when you bike, yeah, it's a mess.
The
Pennsylvania, the west side of Lincoln, that's U of I.
Yeah,
The east
so-
side of Pennsylvania is city.
Yeah, and the intersection is the cities.
Yeah.
The intersection west is the university, and that's the section that we will be, that we are looking at right now.
That's really exciting. I mean, seriously, that is a heavy pedestrian bike area. It's a
Very-
super wide
yeah.
street, and it's a mess.
Yep.
Wow, that's
And
really exciting.
directly, like, only connection to, well, shouldn't say only, but the most reasonable connection to FAR, PAR, because students can go around on Lincoln, but we don't want them to. No, not even, not even then, like, don't cross Lincoln and then come back here. Like, Lincoln is not the safest, I would say.
I should make an announcement too. I forgot to do this at last month's. The Kickapoo Rail Trail is in a fundraising state right now to try to get more of their construction funds. They had a shortfall of 1.85 million. They got a sizable grant from a DCEO, but they still did not have enough because their estimate was based on 2020 numbers instead of current construction costs. So they've been fundraising for a few months now, and they still have a $1.5 million shortfall to go. So if they don't raise that by April, I don't remember the exact date, but sometime in April, then segments will have to be removed from the project and done at a later time when they can get that funding. So if you know anyone interested in donating, I can put you in contact with the Kickapoo Rail Trail group. But yeah, just had to put that plug out there.
And then I have just a quick update on where I'm at with the pedestrian and bicycle fatalities presentation. I sat down and talked to the coroner about it. She's totally on board to give me whatever stats I need. I offered her to present with me to create that working relationship. And I'm actually gonna meet with her again next week to like solidify all the stats that I need. So aiming for a January presentation.
Carmen, there will be money coming from that presentation I gave last month for park access. I don't quite know, right? I don't know if it'll make a trail or not, but yeah.
I can bring it up at my steering committee meeting on Friday if they haven't heard about it yet. So.
It's a new source of funding. It's for downstate. It's for like under-resourced communities. I mean, we check off a lot of the boxes, but I don't know the details of that grant. Like, I don't know exactly, you know how it is. Like, what can you spend the money on? I don't know. All right. Does anybody have any future topics? Brainstorming, which will be fun. All right, and maybe we'll have some snow and ice removal.
Let's hope we don't get any more.
Snow and ice.
I'm done with the snow.
All right. Well, that then brings me to, before we officially close and end today's meeting, I would like to thank everyone for your work today. I would also like to add, during this season of Good Tidings, I would like to thank the crew who records us monthly, keeps the doors open, the staff who put together our agenda and these minutes that we have approved. And I would like to thank you for all your professional and good work. And so that is Rondell, that is Carmen. Carmen, who does the notes?
That's Michelle Heiger. in
Thank
Public
you,
Works.
Michelle Heiger. We appreciate you. We see you. We appreciate the work that you're doing. It's my hope that you leave this meeting feeling seen, heard, respected, and valued. The work we are doing together is important, and I thank you all for your participation. With that said, if there are no objections, I call this meeting adjourned. Happy New Year, everybody. We'll see ya.